Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into a world of pin curls, cold cream, and enough beauty rituals to make your morning alarm weep. We're talking about the 1950s American woman, specifically the morning beauty routine she actually followed. The careful choreography of powders, creams, and girdles that transformed ordinary women into the polished, camera-ready housewives gracing every magazine cover. The kind of routine that required waking up before your husband, before the sun, sometimes before your own willpower kicked in. Before we dive in, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy wandering through history while your coffee gets cold, and a huge thank you to the person who suggested this topic. Your idea absolutely made my week. Drop a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is. I know someone out there is watching at 2:37 a.m, pretending this counts as productive screen time. Also, quick note, we are now live on Spotify. If you want to drift off to these stories while your phone gently dims itself into sleep mode, check out the link in the description. Now dim the lights, switch on a fan for that soft white noise breeze, wiggle down under your blanket, and get comfortable. Really comfortable. Like you're not moving until someone physically checks your pulse comfortable. Because tonight we're exploring a world where beauty was work. Real, daily, exhausting work. Where women rose in darkness to curl, powder, paint, and polish themselves into magazine-worthy perfection before anyone else stirred. A world where looking effortless required an hour of effort, and looking natural required 10 different products. Have you ever wondered what it really felt like to wake up at 5:30 a.m. just to set your hair? How many steps did it actually take to achieve that dewy, flawless skin? What did those bathrooms smell like? Cold cream, powder, hairspray, quiet desperation. How long did women spend in front of their mirrors painting on the faces the world expected to see? And what did it cost them? Not in dollars, but in time, in freedom, in the pieces of themselves they traded for approval. Could you survive a single morning of 1950s beauty standards? Could you handle the girdles, the garter belts, the pin curls that dug into your scalp all night? Could you smile through the ritual, the pressure, the endless, exhausting performance of femininity? Well, congratulations. You've just woken up in 1954. The alarm has not rung yet, but you're already awake, because your hair rollers are stabbing you gently in the skull. Your husband is still asleep, the house is dark, and your beauty routine is just beginning. The alarm clock goes off at 5:30 a.m, a shrill mechanical scream that punches through your dreams like an uninvited guest. You're not a morning person. You have never been a morning person. But in 1954, being a morning person is not optional. It is survival. Your hand shoots out from beneath the covers, fumbling across the nightstand in the darkness until your fingers find the cold metal body of the clock. You slap the button down with more force than necessary, silencing it mid-scream. The room falls quiet again, but the damage is done. You're awake now, pulled from sleep into the cold reality of another morning, another performance, another day of being exactly what everyone expects you to be. You lie there for a moment, eyes still closed, bargaining with the universe. Just 5 more minutes, just one. But you know better. 5 minutes turns into 10, 10 into 20, and suddenly you are behind schedule, rushing, sweating through your foundation, arriving at breakfast looking harried instead of serene. And a harried housewife is a failed housewife, or at least that is what every magazine suggests. So you sit up slowly, the blankets falling away from your shoulders. The room is dark, the kind of deep, quiet darkness that exists only in the hours before dawn. Outside, the world is still asleep. The neighbours have not stirred. The milkman has not yet made his rounds. Even the birds are silent, as if they too are questioning the necessity of consciousness at this ungodly hour. Your bedroom is cold. The heater has not kicked on yet, and the air bites at your skin as you swing your legs over the side of the bed. Your feet touch the floor, and you flinch slightly at the chill of the hardwood. Somewhere in the house, the furnace rumbles to life, a low, comforting hum that promises warmth eventually, but not yet. Not now. You sit on the edge of the bed, gathering yourself. Your body aches faintly, the dull, persistent ache of someone who slept on a head full of metal pin curls. The back of your skull throbs lightly where the clips dug in all night. You reach up gently, touching the satin bonnet tied beneath your chin, feeling the hard lumps of curls beneath the fabric. They had better have set properly. You sacrificed comfort for beauty, and beauty had better show up. The house is so quiet you can hear the clock ticking on the dresser, each second marked with a soft, relentless click. Your husband sleeps beside you, undisturbed, his breathing deep and even. He does not have to wake for another hour and a half. He will rise, shower, dress, and be ready in 20 minutes. You have been awake for 90 minutes by then, already fully assembled, already wearing the smile. You stand slowly, carefully, so as not to wake him. The floor creaks softly beneath your weight. You tiptoe toward the bathroom, your nightgown brushing against your legs, the fabric whispering in the silence. The hallway is dark, but you know this path by heart. You have walked it every morning for years. This is your time, the secret hour, the hour when you transform from the person you are into the person everyone needs you to be. You push open the bathroom door and flip on the light. It flickers once, then floods the small space with harsh, unforgiving brightness. You squint, blinking against the glare, and catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror. There you are, bonnet askew, eyes puffy, face pale and creased with sleep. Time to begin. You sit up slowly, carefully, because your head is wrapped in a satin bonnet protecting the pin curls you set last night. Removing it feels like unwrapping a very fragile, very important present that may or may not have survived the night. Your fingers find the knot beneath your chin, tied tight enough to survive 8 hours of tossing and turning. You pull gently, loosening the fabric, and slowly slide the bonnet off. The cool air hits your scalp immediately, a strange relief after hours of being wrapped and compressed. You set the bonnet on the counter, smoothing it out carefully, because it will be back on your head tonight, and the night after that, and every night for the rest of your natural life. Now comes the moment of truth. You reach up tentatively, touching the pin curls with your fingertips. They're still there, tight and coiled, exactly where you left them. You press one gently, testing its spring. It holds. Relief washes over you, small but genuine. The curls set. You did not sleep for nothing. Your reflection stares back at you, hair flattened on one side, sticking up on the other, the pin curls forming strange geometric patterns across your head, like tiny metal snails clinging to your scalp. You look bizarre, vaguely alien, definitely not ready for polite society. But that is fine. No one sees you like this except the bathroom mirror, and the mirror has learned to keep its opinions to itself. You lean closer, inspecting the damage. A few curls loosen slightly on the left side where you slept too hard against the pillow. One clip near your temple left a faint red mark on your skin, a small indentation that will fade by the time you finish your coffee. These are the tiny battles you fight every night, your comfort versus your appearance, and appearance wins every single time. You think, briefly, about what it would be like to just go to bed with your hair down, loose, free, soft against the pillow instead of hard and unforgiving. You think about waking up without the dull ache at the back of your skull, without the pressure points dotting your scalp like a constellation of discomfort. But then you picture yourself at breakfast with limp, flat hair. You picture your husband glancing at you with faint confusion, as if you have shown up to your own life incorrectly. You picture the neighbours seeing you later at the market, your hair shapeless and sad, their smiles polite but their eyes quietly judging. So no, the curls stay, the bonnet stays, the routine stays. You run your fingers along the edge of your hairline, feeling where the satin pressed against your forehead all night. Your skin is slightly damp, warm from being covered for so long. You smooth a few flyaway hairs back, tucking them behind your ears, even though it does not matter yet, even though you will be teasing, spraying and sculpting everything into place soon enough. But for now, this is what you look like. This is the in-between version, the secret self, the woman who exists only in the quiet hours before the world wakes, before the makeup goes on, before the performance begins. You take one last look at the bonnet resting on the counter, a crumpled puddle of peach-coloured satin. It is such a small thing, such a simple thing, and yet it represents everything about your life right now, the nightly sacrifice, the careful preparation, the relentless pursuit of a beauty that must look effortless, even though it costs you sleep, comfort, and a small piece of your sanity. You sigh softly, the sound barely audible in the quiet bathroom. Then you turn toward the sink, reaching for the cold cream jar, ready for the next step. Because the bonnet is off, but the work has only just begun. Your face is still thick with cold cream from last night, a heavy, greasy layer meant to preserve your youth while you slept. You stumble toward the bathroom, squinting in the dim light, ready to begin the process of becoming human again. The cold cream clings to your skin like a second face, smooth and slick and faintly medicinal smelling. You applied it hours ago, before bed, massaging it into your cheeks, your forehead, your chin, working it into every line and pore with the careful dedication of someone performing a sacred ritual. The jar promised youthful radiance. The jar promised softer skin. The jar promised that if you used it faithfully, nightly, religiously, you would wake looking refreshed and glowing. You do not look refreshed. You look like you lost a fight with a tub of lard. But this is the process. This is what beauty requires. So you lean over the sink, turning on the faucet, and wait for the water to warm. It does not. The pipes groan softly, protesting the early hour, and a thin stream of icy water trickles out. You cup your hands beneath it, filling your palms, and splash it onto your face. The cold shocks you awake, properly awake, the kind of awake that makes your eyes fly open and your breath catch in your throat. Water runs down your cheeks, your neck, dripping onto the collar of your nightgown. You splash again and again, working the cold cream loose, feeling it begin to break apart under the water's persistence. You reach for the washcloth folded neatly beside the sink, a soft cotton square your mother embroidered with your initials years ago, back when she still believed embroidered washcloths mattered. You dampen it under the faucet and press it gently against your face, wiping away the cold cream in slow circular motions. The cloth grows heavy and slick, absorbing the grease, turning from crisp white to translucent and slightly grey. Slowly, your real face emerges. The skin beneath is soft, yes, moisturized, yes, but also pale and tired, marked with faint lines around your eyes that no amount of cold cream will ever erase. You rinse the cloth, wring it out, and wipe again, removing every last trace of the cream until your face is clean, bare, vulnerable. You stare at yourself in the mirror. This is the only moment of the day when you see yourself as you actually are. No powder, no paint, no carefully drawn eyebrows or bold red lips. Just you, just your face, naked and honest and human. It is strange, this moment. both comforting and unsettling. Comforting because you recognize this face, the one you wore as a girl, before marriage, before children, before the world demanded you become someone shinier. Unsettling because you so rarely see it anymore. Most days you apply your makeup before you even register what you look like without it. The bare face has become a stranger. You touch your cheek gently, feeling the softness. The cold cream worked in its way. Your skin is plump, hydrated, smooth to the touch. You look young still, or young enough, though the mirror is less kind in the mornings than it used to be. You rinse your face one last time, splashing away the final residue, patting your skin dry with a towel. The cold cream jar sits on the counter, its lid slightly askew, a thick white layer visible inside. You will use it again tonight, and tomorrow night. And every night after that, because this is what women do. This is the bargain. Slather yourself in grease, sleep uncomfortably, wake early, wash it all away, and hope that somewhere in the process youth is being preserved. You screw the lid back onto the jar and set it in its designated spot on the shelf, perfectly aligned with the toner, the astringent, the foundation. Everything in its place. Everything part of the routine. The cold cream is gone now, but its work is done. Your skin is prepped. Your face is a blank canvas. And now the real painting begins. The sink is cold. The water is colder. You splash your face gently, washing away the cold cream in slow circles, revealing the tired, bare skin underneath. This is the only moment of the day when you see yourself as you actually are. Your hands move methodically, cupping water and bringing it to your face again and again, each splash a small, bracing shock that pulls you further from sleep and closer to the day ahead. The water runs down your wrists, soaking the cuffs of your nightgown. You do not care. This part of the routine is functional, not pretty. No one is watching. You pump a small amount of soap into your palm, a gentle cleanser that smells faintly of roses and promises not to strip your skin. The lather forms quickly, soft and cloud-like, and you massage it across your face in gentle upward strokes, the way the beauty columns in the magazines instruct. Always upward. Never drag the skin downward. Gravity is already working against you. Do not help it along. The soap stings slightly where your skin is dry, little patches near your nose and at the corners of your mouth. You make a mental note to apply extra moisturizer there later, after the toner, before the foundation. The routine has so many steps that forgetting even one feels like a small failure. You rinse again, watching the soapy water swirl down the drain, carrying with it the last traces of sleep, of cold cream, of the night. Your face feels tight now, clean but stripped, like a canvas wiped blank and waiting. You pat it dry with a towel, pressing gently, careful not to rub or pull. The beauty pages are very clear on this. Patting preserves elasticity, rubbing creates wrinkles. You set the towel aside and look at yourself again. Your skin is pink from the cold water, slightly flushed, awake now whether it wants to be or not. You can see everything in this light, the faint darkness under your eyes from too many early mornings, the small dry patch on your chin, the barely visible line forming between your brows from years of worrying about things you cannot control. This face is yours. It is the face you were born with, the one you will grow old with, the one that exists beneath all the powder and paint. And for just this moment, this brief, quiet moment, you let yourself see it, really see it, before you begin covering it up, smoothing it over, transforming it into the face everyone expects. The faucet drips softly, a slow, rhythmic sound that fills the silence. You twist the handle tighter, stopping the drip, and the bathroom falls completely quiet again. Outside, the sky's beginning to lighten just barely, a faint grey glow creeping through the small frosted window above the bathtub. Dawn is coming, but it is not here yet. You reach for the hand towel, drying your hands carefully, and hang it back on its designated hook. Everything has a place. Everything has a purpose. Even you. The washing is done, your face is clean, bare, ready. And now comes everything else. Next comes the toner, a sharp, stinging liquid that smells faintly medicinal and promises to tighten your pores. You dab it onto your face with a cotton ball, wincing slightly as it bites at your skin. The bottle is glass, elegant, with a label that features a drawing of a woman who looks perpetually delighted about her skincare routine. You unscrew the cap, and immediately the scent hits you, astringent and clean, with a chemical brightness that makes your nose wrinkle slightly. This is not a pleasant smell. This is not meant to be pleasant. This is medicine. This is war against your pores. You tip the bottle against a cotton ball, watching the clear liquid soak into the fibres and then press it gently against your cheek. The cold shocks you first, then the sting follows, a sharp, tingling sensation that spreads across your skin like tiny invisible needles. Your face tightens immediately, the pores contracting, retreating, obeying the toner's demands. You sweep the cotton ball across your forehead, down your nose, along your chin. The areas where your skin is most prone to shine, most prone to betraying you with an oily gleam by mid-morning. The toner will prevent that. The toner will keep you matte, refined, poreless, or at least that is what the advertisements promise. The cotton ball comes away faintly grey, picking up traces of dirt, oil and soap residue you thought you'd already rinsed away. It is mildly horrifying and oddly satisfying at the same time. Proof that the product works. Proof that you needed it. You discard the first cotton ball and reach for a second, applying more toner, working it across the sides of your face, your jawline, your neck. The beauty columns are insistent, never stop at the chin. Your neck ages too. Your neck shows everything. Treat it with the same care as your face, or risk looking like two different people poorly attached at the throat. The stinging intensifies on a small patch near your temple, a spot that is slightly raw from where a pin curl clip pressed too hard last night. You grit your teeth and continue anyway, because stopping now would mean an uneven application, and an uneven application means uneven results, and uneven results mean failure. You finish and set the bottle down, screwing the cap back on tightly. Your face feels tight now, almost uncomfortably so, like your skin has been pulled just slightly too taut across your bones. This is normal. This is correct. This is what tightening means. You look in the mirror. Your skin is pink, slightly inflamed, but already beginning to settle. In a few minutes, the tightness will fade into smoothness. The redness will calm, and your pores, those traitorous little openings, will be small, controlled, invisible. The toner has done its job. You have done yours. One more step complete. Dozens still to go. Foundation in the 1950s is not the light, breathable liquid you know today. It is thick, heavy, and requires blending with the patience of someone frosting a very important cake. You unscrew the lid of the foundation jar and peer inside. The product sits there, dense and beige, with the texture of softened butter left too long on the counter. It does not pour. It does not pump. It simply exists, waiting to be scooped, applied, and worked into submission. You dip your fingertips into the jar, gathering a small amount, and begin dotting it across your face, forehead, cheeks, nose, chin. 5 points, like a connect-the-dots puzzle you're about to solve with your hands. The foundation is cool against your skin, thick and almost waxy, sitting on the surface rather than sinking in. Now comes the blending. You work the foundation outward from each dot, using your fingertips to spread it in smooth, even strokes. The product resists at first, clinging stubbornly to one spot, refusing to cooperate. You add a bit more, blending again, trying to coax it into an even layer that covers everything. Redness, darkness, the faint shadows under your eyes, the small broken capillary on your cheek, without looking like you're wearing a mask. This is harder than it sounds. The foundation is full coverage, which is a polite way of saying it is thick enough to hide a multitude of sins, but also thick enough to cake, crack, and settle into every fine line if you're not careful. You blend carefully, pressing it into your skin, smoothing it outward, checking the mirror constantly to make sure you have not missed a spot or created a visible line along your jawline where the foundation ends and your neck begins. Your fingers grow tacky with the product. You wipe them on a tissue and continue, adding more foundation to areas that need extra coverage. The broken capillary disappears, the shadows under your eyes fade. Slowly your face becomes one smooth, uniform shade of beige. You pick up a damp sponge, one of those small triangular ones that came free with a magazine subscription, and use it to blend the edges, softening the harsh lines, making everything look more natural. The sponge soaks up some of the excess product, leaving behind a smoother, more even finish. You step back and examine your work. Your face is now a blank canvas, perfectly even, perfectly smooth, perfectly ready for the next layer. You look like a porcelain doll, or maybe a mannequin, beautiful in a strange, lifeless way. But that is the point. The foundation is not meant to make you look like yourself. It is meant to erase yourself, to create a flawless base upon which you can paint the version of yourself the world wants to see. You screw the lid back onto the jar, wiping a small smudge of foundation off the rim with your thumb. The jar is half empty now. You will need to buy another one soon, another trip to the drugstore, another $1 spent on the endless pursuit of flawlessness. But not today. Today you have enough. Today the foundation is applied, the canvas is prepared, and the work continues. Powder is essential. Powder is everything. You dust it across your face with a giant puff, watching yourself disappear beneath a matte, porcelain-like finish that promises you will not shine, sweat, or appear remotely human under any lighting. The powder compact sits on the counter, round and elegant, with a delicate clasp that clicks open with a satisfying snap. Inside, the powder is pressed smooth, a pale, chalky circle that has been worn down in the centre from months of use. The puff rests on top, soft and oversized, like a cloud made of cotton and faint regret. You lift the puff, pressing it into the powder, watching it sink slightly, absorbing the fine particles. Then you bring it to your face and begin patting, gently at first, then more firmly, covering every inch of foundation with a thin veil of matte perfection. The powder clings immediately, transforming the tacky, slightly shiny surface of the foundation into something smooth and dry, and completely shine-free. You work methodically, patting your forehead, your cheeks, your nose, your chin, making sure no spot is left untouched, no hint of natural skin texture allowed to show through. The puff releases small clouds of powder with each pat, delicate puffs that hang in the air for a moment before settling on the counter, the sink, the front of your nightgown. You will have to clean this up later, but right now you do not care. Right now, all that matters is coverage. You pay special attention to your T-zone, the forehead, nose, and chin, the areas most prone to oiliness, most likely to betray you by lunchtime with an unwanted shine. You layer the powder here, pressing it in, building a barrier between your skin and the outside world, a shield against perspiration, humidity, and the betrayal of your own biology. The transformation is immediate and dramatic. The foundation, which looks smooth but still slightly skin-like, now takes on an entirely different quality. It is matte, flat, poreless. You look airbrushed, flawless, like a photograph of a person rather than an actual person. You set down the puff and examine yourself in the mirror. Your face is pale now, paler than your natural skin tone. A soft, powdery beige that makes you look refined, delicate, ethereal, also possibly deceased, but in a glamorous way. This is the ideal. This is what every advertisement shows. This is what every woman is supposed to achieve. A face so smooth, so matte, so perfectly powdered that it does not look real anymore. You pick up a smaller brush, a fluffy one, and use it to dust away the excess powder, sweeping it off your face in soft strokes. A small cloud forms around your head, powder particles catching the light, and you wave it away gently, breathing shallowly so you do not inhale a lungful of chalk. The compact snaps shut. The puff goes back in its place, and you, beneath all that powder, are ready for the next step. Shine free, flawless, perfectly unreal. Your natural eyebrows are fine, but fine is not enough. You reach for your eyebrow pencil and begin the delicate work of drawing on the thin arched brows that every magazine insists are necessary for beauty. The pencil is small, wooden, sharpened to a precise point that you maintain religiously, because a dull pencil creates thick, harsh lines, and thick, harsh lines create eyebrows that look drawn on, which defeats the entire purpose even though they are, in fact, drawn on. You hold the pencil lightly, positioning it at the inner corner of your brow, and begin making small, feathery strokes. The goal is to enhance, not to create, to darken what is already there, to extend the arch just slightly, to lift the tail in a way that makes you look alert, elegant, eternally surprised in the most becoming way possible. Your natural brows are a bit too thick for current fashion, a bit too straight, a bit too honest. So earlier this week you plucked them, sitting in front of this same mirror with a pair of tweezers, pulling out hair after hair until your eyes watered, and your brows were reduced to thin, apologetic lines that barely registered as eyebrows at all. Now you are drawing them back, filling in the gaps, creating the illusion of brows that naturally thin, naturally arched, naturally perfect. It is a strange bit of logic, destroying something real in order to replace it with something fake that looks more real than the real thing ever did. You work slowly, carefully, checking your progress in the mirror every few strokes. The left brow is coming along nicely, a smooth, elegant arch that lifts at just the right point. The right brow, however, is being difficult. It always is. The right brow never quite matches the left. You darken it, trying to even them out, but now it looks too dark, too heavy, slightly angry. You lick your finger and rub gently, lightening the line, softening the edge. Better. Not perfect, but better. You add a few more strokes, adjusting, correcting, persuading the right brow to cooperate with the left. The magazines make this look easy. The illustrations show smooth, perfect arches drawn with a single confident stroke. But you've been doing this for years, and it is never a single stroke. It is dozens of tiny adjustments, corrections, compromises between what you want your eyebrows to be and what they are willing to become. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of micro-adjustments, you step back and assess. The brows are thin, arched, symmetrical enough. They frame your face the way they are supposed to, drawing attention to your eyes, giving you an expression that reads as polished, refined, slightly more sophisticated than you actually feel at 5:45 in the morning. You set the pencil down, resisting the urge to keep adjusting. Perfectionism is a trap. You could spend another 10 minutes trying to make them identical, but they never will be. No one's eyebrows are identical. Faces are not symmetrical. You're doing the best you can with the features you are given. The eyebrows are done. They are fine. They are enough. And you still have so much more to do. Eyeshadow in the 50s is meant to be subtle, natural, almost invisible. You sweep a soft neutral shade across your lids, blending carefully, trying to look like someone who woke up with naturally sculpted eyelids. The palette sits open on the counter, a small compact holding 3 shades of brown, light, medium, and dark. No shimmer, no sparkle. Nothing that could be mistaken for theatrical or bold. Just soft, muted tones that promise to enhance your eyes without anyone noticing you're wearing eyeshadow at all. You dip a small brush into the lightest shade, tapping off the excess, and sweep it across your entire eyelid from lash line to brow bone. The colour is so pale it is almost imperceptible. Just a whisper of warmth that evens out the skin tone and creates a smooth base for the next layer. Next comes the medium shade. You apply it to the centre of your lid, blending it outward in soft circular motions, building dimension, creating the illusion of depth where there is none. The goal is to make your eyes look larger, more opened, more awake, even though you are running on 6 hours of sleep and sheer determination. You blend carefully, using a clean brush to soften the edges, making sure there are no harsh lines, no visible demarcation between one shade and the next. The transition must be seamless, natural, as if your eyelids simply exist in multiple, flattering shades all on their own. The darkest shade goes into the crease, just a hint of it, applied with a precision that would make a surgeon proud. You place the brush exactly where your eyelid folds, pressing gently, then blending upward and outward, creating a soft shadow that defines the shape of your eye. You step back and assess. The eyeshadow is there. You can see it if you look closely, but it does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, quietly enhancing, subtly improving, making you look more polished without looking like you tried. This is the art of 1950s makeup, the appearance of effortlessness that requires extraordinary effort. You repeat the process on the other eye, matching the placement, the blending, the intensity. This is always the hardest part, making both eyes look identical when they are slightly different shapes, when one eyelid has more space than the other, when your dominant hand is steadier than your non-dominant hand, but you manage. Years of practice have taught you how to compensate, how to adjust, how to create symmetry where nature did not. Both eyes are done now, softly shadowed, gently defined, ready for the next step. You blow the excess powder off your brushes and set them aside, already thinking ahead to the eyeliner, the mascara, the final touches that will bring everything together. The eyeshadow is invisible, which means it is perfect. Eyeliner is where the real artistry begins. You steady your hand, lean close to the mirror, and draw a thin, precise line along your upper lash line, flicking it upward at the outer corner into a delicate wing. Your hand hovers over the pencil, the liquid liner, the cake liner with its tiny brush. Today you choose the pencil, the most forgiving of the three, the one least likely to result in a dramatic mistake that requires removing all your eye makeup and starting over. You uncap the pencil, checking the tip to make sure it is sharp enough. It is. You keep it sharp. You have learned, through many smudged attempts and asymmetrical disasters, that a sharp pencil is the difference between a clean line and a blurry mess. You rest your elbow on the counter for stability, angle your face toward the mirror, and tilt your head back slightly so you can see your lash line clearly. Then, holding your breath, you bring the pencil to the inner corner of your eye and begin. The line starts thin, almost invisible, a delicate stroke that follows the natural curve of your lashes. You move slowly, carefully, keeping the pencil as close to the lash line as possible, filling in the tiny gaps between each lash, creating the illusion of thicker, darker, more dramatic lashes. As you move outward, the line thickens slightly, building intensity, creating definition. Your hand is steady. Your breathing is shallow. This requires complete focus. One wrong move and the line goes crooked, too thick, too high, ruining the entire effect. You reach the outer corner of your eye, the point where the real challenge begins. The wing, the flick, the tiny upward stroke that can make or break the entire look. You pause for a moment, visualizing the angle, the length, the curve. Then, in one smooth, confident motion, you flick the pencil upward and outward, creating a delicate wing that lifts the outer corner of your eye. Perfect. You exhale, the breath you did not realize you were holding, and examine your work. The line is clean, even, precise. The wing is subtle but present, a soft lift that makes your eye look more almond-shaped, more elegant, more awake. Now comes the hard part, replicating it on the other eye. You switch hands, steadying yourself again, and begin the same process on the right eye. Inner corner, thin line, gradual thickening, outer corner wing. But the right eye never cooperates as easily as the left. The angle is slightly different. Your non-dominant hand is less steady. The wing comes out a bit longer, a bit sharper, not quite matching. You grab a cotton swab, dip it in a tiny bit of cold cream, and carefully erase the wing, softening it, shortening it, adjusting it until it matches the left. Close enough. Not perfect, but close enough. You lean back, looking at both eyes together, checking for symmetry. They match, mostly. In dim lighting, they are identical. In bright bathroom lighting at 6 a.m, they are sisters, not twins, but that will have to do. The eyeliner is done. Your eyes are defined, lifted, shaped into the feminine ideal, and your hands finally stop trembling. Mascara in 1954 comes in a small cake, not a tube. You spit lightly onto the brush, rub it against the cake, and begin coating your lashes in slow, careful strokes. The compact is small, round, about the size of a silver dollar, with a tiny mirror embedded in the lid that is far too small to be useful but exists anyway. A decorative gesture toward functionality. Inside, the mascara cake sits dark and solid, a dense black disc that has been worn down in the centre from months of use, creating a shallow crater where your brush lands again and again. You pick up the brush, a thin wand with stiff bristles, and bring it to your mouth. This part always feels slightly barbaric, slightly unsanitary, but this is how it is done. You purse your lips and spit delicately onto the bristles, just enough moisture to activate the mascara, to turn the dry cake into something workable, something that will cling to your lashes and stay there. You rub the dampened brush against the cake in small circular motions, watching the black product begin to coat the bristles, transforming them from light brown to deep glossy black. The mascara builds slowly, requiring several passes, several more applications of spit, several more minutes of patient rubbing, until the brush is loaded with enough product to make a difference. Finally, you are ready. You tilt your head back, open your eyes wide, and bring the brush to your upper lashes. The first stroke is always the trickiest. The moment when you're most likely to blink, to flinch, to accidentally stab yourself in the eyeball with a bristle. But you have done this 1,000 times. Your hand is steady. Your reflexes are trained. You sweep the brush upward from the base of your lashes to the tips, wiggling it slightly as you go to separate each lash, to coat them evenly, to prevent clumping. The mascara goes on thick and wet, darkening your lashes immediately, making them look longer, fuller, more dramatic. You blink once, carefully, letting the product settle, Then apply a second coat, building volume, building intensity. The smell of the mascara hits you as you work, a strange chemical scent mixed with the faint taste of your own spit. It is not pleasant, but it is familiar, comforting in the way that all routines become comforting through sheer repetition. You move to the lower lashes now, a more delicate operation. The brush must be held horizontally, swept lightly across the short, fine lashes that frame the bottom of your eye. Too much pressure, and you will smudge mascara onto your freshly powdered cheek. Too much product, and your lower lashes will clump together into spidery points that make you look startled rather than glamorous. You apply it sparingly, just a whisper of black to define the lower lash line, to balance the drama of the upper lashes, to complete the frame around your eye. One eye done. You step back and look at yourself. The difference is striking. Your lashes, which were pale and sparse a moment ago, are now dark and lush, curling upward in a way that makes your eyes look larger, brighter, more awake. You look like you have slept 8 hours. You look like you're happy to be awake. You look like a woman who has her life together. All of this from spit and a cake of black wax. You repeat the process on the other eye, spitting again onto the brush, rubbing it against the cake, applying the mascara in the same careful strokes. Upper lashes first, then lower, building the same volume, the same length, the same wide-eyed effect. As you finish, a small clump forms on one of your upper lashes, a tiny black glob that threatens to ruin the entire effect. You grab a clean brush, a tiny metal comb with fine teeth, and carefully drag it through your lashes, separating them, breaking up the clump, restoring order. Perfect. Both eyes now match, both sets of lashes dark and defined, and curling upward in identical arcs of femininity. You cap the mascara cake, tucking it back into its designated spot on the shelf. Your mouth tastes faintly chemical, faintly salty. You will rinse it out later, after breakfast, after the morning coffee washes away the residue of beauty. But for now, your lashes are done. Your eyes are complete, shadowed, lined, darkened, opened, transformed from sleepy and ordinary into bright and captivating, and you still have half your face left to paint. Lipstick is not optional. Lipstick is armour. You choose a bold red, the kind that signals confidence, femininity, and the fact that you have successfully navigated the previous 11 steps without a breakdown. The tube sits on the counter, gleaming gold, cool and smooth in your hand. You twist the base and watch the lipstick emerge slowly from its casing, a perfect cylinder of deep, vivid red. This is not a subtle shade. This is not a your lips but better colour. This is a declaration. This is a flag planted firmly in the territory of womanhood, announcing that you are awake, assembled, and ready to face whatever the day throws at you. You lean closer to the mirror, examining your lips. They are pale, slightly chapped from sleep, the natural pink barely visible beneath the powder that has settled on them. They need colour, they need definition, they need transformation. You bring the lipstick to your mouth and pause, steadying your hand. The application of lipstick is a performance, a ritual that must be executed with precision. One wrong move, and you will spend the next 5 minutes wiping, correcting, reapplying, trying to fix a smudge that refuses to disappear cleanly. You start with the upper lip, placing the lipstick at the centre of your Cupid's bow, that small dip where your lip curves into 2 gentle peaks. You press down lightly and drag the colour outward toward the corner, following the natural line of your lip. Then you return to the centre and repeat on the other side, creating a smooth, even application that defines the shape of your mouth. The lipstick glides on smoothly, creamy and rich, leaving behind a bold swath of red that transforms your face immediately. Your lips, which were invisible a moment ago, now command attention. They are the focal point. They are the feature that will define you for the rest of the day. You move to the bottom lip now, filling it in with the same careful strokes, making sure the colour is even, making sure there are no gaps, no streaks, no spots where your natural lip colour shows through. When both lips are coated, you press them together gently, blotting, spreading the colour, ensuring it covers every surface. Then you pull them apart and check your work in the mirror. The red is bright, bold, perfectly applied. Your lips look fuller, more defined, more feminine. But you're not done yet. You grab a tissue from the box on the counter, fold it in half, and press it between your lips, blotting away the excess lipstick, the layer that will transfer onto coffee cups, shirt collars, your husband's cheek when you kiss him goodbye. The tissue comes away marked with a perfect red imprint of your mouth, a kiss pressed into paper, and you fold it carefully before discarding it. Now you apply the second coat, repeating the same process, building intensity, building staying power. 2 coats of lipstick will last through breakfast, through morning coffee, through the first few hours of the day before you need to reapply. You blot again, and this time when you check the mirror, the colour is set, deep, rich, immovable. Your lips are a perfect red bow, the kind that photographs beautifully, the kind that makes you look polished and intentional, even if the rest of your life feels chaotic. You twist the lipstick back down into its tube and cap it, placing it carefully in your apron pocket for later. You will need it again by mid-morning, after the first cup of coffee, after the colour begins to fade from the centre of your lips, leaving only the outline behind. But for now, the lipstick is perfect, and you, looking at your reflection, finally recognise the woman staring back. She is awake, she is assembled, she is ready, and her lips are very, very red. Blush is applied to the apples of your cheeks in soft circular motions, giving you the kind of rosy, healthy glow that suggests you have been outside enjoying fresh air, even though you have been locked in your bathroom for 40 minutes. The compact opens with a soft click, revealing a pressed powder in a shade described on the label as natural rose, though it looks more like the colour of a sunset filtered through optimism and marketing. A small brush rests inside, its bristles soft and slightly worn from use. You lift the brush, swirl it gently across the surface of the blush, and tap it once against the edge of the compact to remove the excess. Too much blush and you will look feverish, clownish, like you have been slapped by an overly enthusiastic relative. Too little and the effort is wasted, invisible, pointless. You smile at yourself in the mirror, a wide, slightly ridiculous smile that pushes your cheeks upward into round little apples. This is the trick, the secret to proper blush placement. Apply it to the apples of your cheeks, the parts that lift when you smile, and the colour will look natural, as though it comes from within rather than from a compact. You press the brush to your cheek and begin sweeping it in small, gentle circles, depositing colour onto your skin. The powder clings to the foundation, blending into it, creating a soft wash of pink that warms your face, brings it to life, makes you look less like a powdered ghost and more like a living, breathing woman. You work the brush upward slightly, toward your temples, blending the edges so there is no harsh line, no visible circle of colour sitting awkwardly on your cheek. The goal is diffusion, softness, the appearance of a natural flush that just happens to be applied with surgical precision every single morning. You step back and assess. The blush is working. Your face, which was flat and one-dimensional, beneath all that powder now has depth, warmth, dimension. You look healthy. You look alive. You look like someone who sleeps well, eats vegetables, and takes brisk morning walks, none of which are true, But the blush does not care about truth. The blush cares about appearances. You repeat the process on the other cheek, matching the intensity, the placement, the soft circular blending that makes the colour look effortless. Symmetry is key. Uneven blush is worse than no blush at all. Both cheeks done, you smile again at the mirror, checking your work. The colour lifts when you smile, emphasising the apples, proving that you placed it correctly. You look pleasant, approachable, warm. All the things a woman is supposed to look like before breakfast. You snap the compact shut and set it aside, brushing a bit of stray powder off the front of your nightgown. The blush has left a faint pink dust on the fabric, a small casualty of beauty. Your face is nearly complete now. Foundation, powder, eyebrows, eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, lipstick, blush. Layer upon layer upon layer, each one necessary, each one contributing to the final effect. You're no longer the woman who woke up an hour ago, pale and bare and honest. You're the woman the world expects to see, the one who looks effortless and radiant and perpetually pleased with her existence. The blush was the final touch, the warmth that makes everything else make sense. And now, finally, you can move on to your hair. Now comes the moment of truth. You begin removing the pin curls one by one, carefully unwinding each metal clip and watching your hair spring free in tight, perfect spirals. Your fingers find the first clip near your temple, a small metal contraption that has been digging into your scalp for the past 8 hours. You slide it open gently, feeling the tension release, and pull it away from your head. The curl it was holding springs free immediately, a tight, shiny coil that bounces slightly as it settles against your cheek. 1 down, approximately 30 to go. You work methodically, moving from the front of your head toward the back, removing each clip with the same careful motion, dropping them one by one into a small dish on the counter where they land with tiny metallic clinks. Each curl that comes free is tight, uniform, perfectly formed, a small victory in the ongoing war against your naturally straight hair. The pins have left small indentations on your scalp, little dimples where the metal pressed into your skin all night. You rub them gently with your fingertips as you work, massaging away the soreness, the dull ache that comes from sleeping on what is essentially a head full of tiny torture devices. As you remove more clips, your hair begins to take on a strange, surreal appearance. Half of your head is covered in tight spirals that stick out at odd angles, while the other half is still pinned flat against your scalp, waiting its turn. You look like a science experiment. You look like someone caught mid-transformation between human and poodle. But this is part of the process. This is the awkward middle stage that no one ever sees. The moment between sleeping beauty and waking glamour when you look absolutely ridiculous and have to trust that it will all come together in the end. You continue removing clips, working your way around the back of your head, reaching blindly for pins you cannot see, relying on muscle memory and touch to guide your fingers to each one. Some clips slide out easily. Others have become tangled in the curl, twisted into the hair, requiring patience and gentle manipulation to free them without destroying the curl they created. Finally, the last clip comes free. You set it in the dish with the others and run your fingers lightly over your scalp, checking for any you might have missed. Nothing. All the clips are out. You look in the mirror and nearly laugh. Your head is covered in tight, springy curls that point in every direction, defying gravity, defying logic, defying any reasonable definition of hairstyle. You look like you have been electrocuted. You look like you stuck your finger in a socket and decided to make it a permanent style choice. But beneath the chaos, you can see the potential. The curls are there. They are tight. They're uniform, they're ready to be shaped, brushed, teased, and sprayed into the smooth, elegant waves that everyone will see. You touch one of the curls gently, feeling its spring, its bounce, its resistance. Hours of discomfort have created this. Hours of sleeping awkwardly, waking with a stiff neck, sacrificing comfort for the sake of beauty. And now comes the transformation. The moment when chaos becomes order, when spirals become waves, when suffering becomes style. You pick up your brush, take a deep breath, and prepare to turn this mess into a masterpiece. You brush out the curls gently, coaxing them into soft waves that frame your face. The goal is volume, bounce, and the appearance of effortless glamour that actually required sleeping on metal torture devices. The brush you use is not just any brush. It is a paddle brush with natural boar bristles, the kind that costs more than it should but distributes the oils from your scalp down the length of your hair, adding shine, adding smoothness, adding the illusion that your hair is naturally this lustrous. You start at the ends, working your way up gradually, because starting at the roots is a recipe for disaster, for tangles, for ripping out chunks of hair that you cannot afford to lose. The brush moves through the first curl slowly, meeting resistance, pulling against the tight spiral, convincing it to relax, to lengthen, to transform from a coil into a wave. The curl fights back at first, springing away from the brush, refusing to cooperate. But you are patient. You brush again and again, working the bristles through the hair until the spiral finally surrenders, loosening into a soft rolling wave that catches the light beautifully. You move to the next curl, repeating the process. Brush, release, lengthen, transform. Each curl requires the same careful attention, the same gentle persistence. Rush this step and your hair will frizz, the curls breaking apart into a cloud of flyaways that no amount of hairspray will tame. As you work, your hair begins to change. The tight, chaotic spirals soften into smooth, glossy waves that cascade down from your crown, framing your face, adding width at the sides, creating the full, rounded silhouette that defines 1950s femininity. You brush the curls at your temples back slightly, creating lift at the roots, adding height. The magazines are very clear on this. Flat hair is unflattering. Hair must have volume, must have body, must defy gravity in a way that suggests you are lighter than air, unburdened by the weight of the world. The back of your head requires more effort. You cannot see what you're doing, so you rely on feel, on muscle memory, on the countless other mornings you have stood in this exact spot doing this exact thing. You reach behind your head, brushing blindly, checking with your fingers to make sure the curls are blending together, forming a smooth, continuous wave from crown to nape. Your arm aches slightly from holding it at this awkward angle, but you push through. Beauty is discomfort. Discomfort is beauty. This is the unspoken bargain every woman makes with her mirror. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of brushing, the transformation is complete. The tight pin curls are gone, replaced by soft flowing waves that move when you turn your head, that bounce lightly when you walk, that look like they simply grew this way, naturally, effortlessly, without any intervention whatsoever. You step back and examine your work. Your hair is full, shiny, perfectly waved. It frames your face in a way that is both feminine and polished, soft, yet structured. You look like the women in the magazines, the ones with the perpetual smiles and the hair that never moves out of place. You run your fingers through the waves one last time, gently, careful not to disturb them too much. They feel soft, silky, smooth. The hours of pin curls were worth it. Almost. You set the brush down and reach for the hairspray because this is not over yet. The waves are perfect now, but perfect is temporary. Perfect requires reinforcement. Perfect requires chemical intervention. Your hair is brushed, styled, and teased into place, but it will not stay that way without help. You reach for the hairspray, a thick, sticky cloud that you spray generously, holding your breath as it settles into a hard, immovable shell. The can is tall, sleek, and slightly dented from the number of times you've dropped it in your morning stupor. The label promises maximum hold, and it delivers sometimes too well, creating hairstyles so rigid they could survive a hurricane, a car accident, or a particularly aggressive hug. You shake the can, hearing the metal ball rattle inside, mixing the chemicals that will transform your soft, touchable waves into a helmet of beauty. You hold the can at arm's length, aim it at your head, and press down on the nozzle. The spray erupts in a fine mist that immediately fills the bathroom with a sharp chemical smell. It is not pleasant. It is not meant to be pleasant. It is industrial-strength vanity in aerosol form, and it smells like it could strip paint off a wall or possibly preserve a small mammal for eternity. You spray the front of your hair first, sweeping the can in a slow arc across your forehead, your temples, the carefully arranged waves that frame your face. The hairspray lands like morning dew, tiny droplets that cling to each strand, coating them in a sticky film that will harden in minutes. You close your eyes and hold your breath, because inhaling this stuff is ill-advised at best and potentially lethal at worst. The mist drifts around your head like a toxic cloud, settling not just on your hair but on your forehead, your cheeks, your freshly applied makeup. You make a mental note to blot your face after this, to remove the fine layer of hairspray that has undoubtedly settled on your powder. You spray the sides next, lifting sections of hair with your free hand and spraying underneath, building hold from the roots, ensuring that the volume you created will not collapse by mid-morning. The can hisses with each press of the nozzle, releasing more and more product until the air in the bathroom is thick with it, hazy, barely breathable. Now comes the back, the hardest part. You reach behind your head, spraying blindly, hoping you are hitting the right spots, trusting that the mist is wide enough to cover everything, even if you cannot see it. You spray generously, because underspraying is worse than overspraying. Underspraying leads to hair that moves, that shifts, that betrays you by falling flat or frizzing out by lunchtime. You set the can down and wait, standing perfectly still while the hairspray dries, while the chemicals do their work, while your soft waves transform into something harder, shinier, more permanent. The spray tightens as it dries, pulling slightly at your scalp, creating a sensation that is not quite pain, but not quite comfort either. After a minute, you reach up cautiously and touch your hair. It is stiff now, crunchy, coated in a shell of product that makes it feel more like plastic than hair. You try to run your fingers through it, and cannot. The strands are locked together, fused by hairspray into an immovable mass. Perfect. You spray one more time, a final protective coating, because you're not taking any chances. This hairstyle needs to last all day, through breakfast, through errands, through whatever the day throws at you. It needs to survive wind, humidity, the steam from cooking, the chaos of children, the scrutiny of neighbours, and it will, because you have encased it in enough hairspray to withstand a natural disaster. You cap the can and set it back on the shelf, waving your hand through the air to disperse the lingering cloud of chemicals. The bathroom smells like a beauty salon crossed with a chemical plant. You will need to open a window, but first, you check the mirror one last time. Your hair is perfect, glossy, immovable, set in smooth waves that will not budge until you wash them out tonight. You look like a woman who has her life together, and for the next 12 hours your hair will not contradict that lie. Makeup is finished, hair is done. Now comes the foundation of the entire look, the girdle. You step into it carefully, pulling the tight, restrictive fabric up over your hips, your waist, your rib cage, until your internal organs are gently but firmly relocated. The girdle sits on the bed where you laid it out last night, a beige elastic cylinder of compression and suffering. It looks innocent enough, almost delicate with its pale colour and decorative stitching. But you know better. You know what this thing is capable of. You know the price you will pay for the smooth, cinched silhouette it creates. You sit on the edge of the bed and begin the process. You gather the fabric in your hands, bunching it up like a pair of stockings, preparing to step into it. The girdle is not something you simply pull on. It is something you negotiate with, something you wrestle into submission through a combination of determination and flexibility. You stand and step into the leg openings, one foot and then the other, feeling the tight elastic grip your ankles immediately. You begin pulling it upward, inch by inch, coaxing it over your calves, your knees, your thighs. The fabric resists clinging to your skin, requiring effort, requiring you to shimmy and tug and occasionally hop on one foot while yanking the girdle higher. It reaches your hips, and the real work begins. You pull harder now, grasping the top edge and dragging it upward over your hip bones, feeling it tighten around your lower body like a python that has decided your lunch. The girdle compresses your hips, flattening them, smoothing them, erasing any hint of natural curve in favour of a sleeker, more controlled line. You keep pulling, up over your stomach, which immediately protests this treatment by attempting to escape upward. The girdle does not allow this. The girdle has opinions about where your stomach should be, and those opinions are firm. Higher still, over your waist, cinching it inward, creating the dramatic hourglass shape that every dress in your closet is designed to accommodate. You can feel your ribs compressing slightly, your lungs adjusting to the reduced space, your diaphragm reconsidering its career choices. Finally, the girdle is fully on, stretched from your upper thighs to just below your bra line, encasing your entire torso in firm, unforgiving elastic. You smooth it down, adjusting it, making sure it sits evenly, making sure there are no wrinkles or folds that will show through your dress. You take a breath, a shallow breath, because deep breaths are no longer an option. The girdle has seen to that. You can breathe, of course, you're not being suffocated, but the breaths are smaller now, more frequent, restricted by the tight band of elastic wrapped around your ribcage. You walk a few steps, testing the girdle's mobility. It moves with you, sort of, though every step requires a bit more effort, every movement slightly hindered by the compression. Bending over is now a theoretical concept rather than a practical possibility. Sitting will require careful positioning. Eating will require restraint, because the girdle allows no room for expansion. But you look in the mirror and see the results. Your waist is tiny, impossibly small, the kind of waist that makes dresses fit the way they're supposed to, the way they look on the mannequins in store windows. Your hips are smooth, your stomach flat, your silhouette transformed from soft and natural to structured and ideal. This is the foundation. This is what allows everything else, the dress, the accessories, the entire carefully constructed image, to work. Without the girdle, you're just a woman in a dress. With the girdle, you're a 1950s ideal, a walking advertisement for femininity, control, and the willingness to suffer for beauty. You adjust it one last time, pulling the top edge up slightly, making sure everything is secure, everything is smooth, everything is exactly where it needs to be. And then you take another shallow breath, accept your fate, and reach for your stockings. Because the girdle is only the beginning. Pantyhose do not exist yet, so you roll on stockings, one leg at a time, smoothing them carefully up your thighs before attaching them to the garter clips dangling from your girdle. The stockings are delicate things, sheer and fragile, made of nylon so fine you can see through it, so thin that a single snag will run from ankle to thigh in seconds, rendering them unwearable and forcing you to dig into your carefully rationed supply for a replacement pair. You sit on the edge of the bed and pick up the first stocking, gathering it carefully in your hands, bunching it into a small ring that you can slip your foot through. You point your toe, slide your foot into the opening, and begin working the stocking up your leg, slowly, carefully, watching for any resistance, any catch that might indicate the beginning of a run. The nylon slides over your ankle, your calf, your knee, smooth and cool against your skin. You stand holding the stocking in place and continue pulling it up over your thigh, smoothing it as you go, making sure there are no wrinkles, no twists, no bunching that will show through your dress or create uncomfortable ridges against your skin. The stocking reaches the top of your thigh and stops, held up only by your hand, waiting to be secured. This is where the garter clips come in, those small metal clasps dangling from the bottom of your girdle like tiny industrial appendages. You reach down and grab the front clip, pulling it toward the top of the stocking. The clip has two small teeth that grip the fabric, holding it in place. You position it carefully at the top edge of the stocking, right at the seam, and press the clip closed. It grips immediately, biting into the nylon, securing it firmly. You repeat the process with the back clip, reaching behind your thigh to attach it to the stocking's back seam. This requires flexibility, balance, and a certain amount of coordination. You bend slightly, twist, reach, and finally manage to clip it in place. The stocking is now secured, held up by 2 points of tension, one in front and one in back. You test it, walking a few steps, checking to make sure the stocking stays in place, does not sag, does not twist. It holds. Perfect. Now for the second leg. You sit again, pick up the second stocking, and begin the same careful process. Gather, bunch, slide over the foot, work it up the leg, smooth out the wrinkles, attach the garter clips. Front clip first, then back, reaching, bending, twisting until both clips are secured and the stocking is firmly in place. You stand and look down at your legs. The stockings create a smooth, polished look, a subtle sheen that catches the light, making your legs look longer, shapelier, more refined. These seams running up the backs of your legs are perfectly straight, or close enough to straight that they will pass inspection from anyone who is not standing directly behind you with a ruler. But stockings are precarious things. They require constant vigilance. Sit carelessly and they will sag. Move too quickly and they will twist. Brush against something sharp and they will run. You will spend the entire day subtly checking them, smoothing them, adjusting the garter clips when they loosen, making sure the seams stay straight, making sure you do not embarrass yourself by walking around with a crooked seam, or worse, a visible run. This is the price of having legs that look polished and presentable. This is what women do every single day without complaint, because complaining would suggest that femininity is work rather than natural, effortless grace. You take one last look in the mirror, checking the seams, checking the smoothness, checking that everything is exactly as it should be. The stockings are on, the garter clips are secured, your legs are acceptable, and now, finally, you can get dressed. Your closet is full of dresses, each one carefully pressed and hung, each one designed to cinch at the waist and flare at the hips, creating the hourglass silhouette that defines femininity in this era. You stand in front of the open closet, surveying your options. The dresses hang in a neat row, organized by color, by season, by level of formality. Each one represents a different version of yourself, a different role you might need to play today. There is the cheerful housewife dress in yellow gingham, the sophisticated lunch dress in navy with white piping, the casual morning dress in pale blue cotton, the church dress in subdued grey. You need to choose carefully. The wrong dress can ruin your entire day, make you feel frumpy when you need to feel confident, make you feel overdressed when casual was the appropriate choice, make you feel invisible when you were hoping to be noticed. Today is a regular weekday. No special occasions, no lunch dates or committee meetings, just the usual routine of breakfast, housework, errands, maybe a trip to the market if you need groceries. So you need something practical but still pretty, comfortable but still polished, easy to move in but still unmistakably feminine. Your hand lands on a dress in soft pink cotton, a shirtwaist style with a fitted bodice, a full skirt, and a thin belt that will cinch your already cinched waist even tighter. It is cheerful without being frivolous, practical without being dowdy, the kind of dress that says you're a competent housewife who takes pride in her appearance but does not spend all day worrying about it, even though you absolutely do. You pull it off the hanger and step into it, careful not to disturb your hair, your makeup, your stockings. The dress slides over your girdle-compressed body, settling into place over your hips, your waist, your bust. You reach behind your back and begin working the zipper, pulling it upward inch by inch until it reaches the top and the dress is fully closed. The fit is perfect because of course it is. The girdle ensures that the fit is always perfect. The dress hugs your waist, emphasizes the dramatic curve from bust to hip, flares out into a full skirt that swishes pleasantly when you move. You smooth the fabric down, adjusting the collar, straightening the belt, making sure everything sits exactly right. You fasten the belt, pulling it tight, adding yet another layer of cinching to your already compressed midsection. The buckle clicks into place and you adjust it so the end hangs at exactly the right length, not too long, not too short, perfectly balanced. You turn to the mirror for the full effect. The dress transforms you. You're no longer a woman in a girdle and stockings. You're a properly dressed housewife, feminine and neat, ready to face the day. The pink brings out the blush on your cheeks. The full skirt creates a silhouette that is both modest and flattering. The fitted bodice emphasizes your shape without being suggestive. You look exactly like you're supposed to look, like the women in the magazines, the advertisements, the television shows, like someone who has her life completely under control. The dress is perfect, and you, in this moment, feel almost perfect too. No outfit is complete without accessories. You fasten a string of pearls around your neck, clip on matching earrings, and pull on a pair of white gloves that make you feel elegant, polished, and slightly like you're about to attend a very formal tea party. The jewellery box sits on your dresser, a small wooden case lined with burgundy velvet. You open it and survey the contents, a modest collection of pieces that are not expensive but look expensive, which is what matters. Real pearls are for wealthy women. You have costume pearls, convincing imitations that gleam softly in the morning light. You lift the strand carefully, feeling the weight of the beads, the smoothness of their surface. You drape them around your neck and fasten the clasp, adjusting them so they sit evenly, the centerpiece resting just at the hollow of your throat. Pearls are essential. Pearls signal respectability, femininity, a certain level of refinement that every woman is expected to project. Next come the earrings, small pearl studs that match the necklace perfectly. You clip them onto your earlobes, wincing slightly as the metal pinches your skin. Clip-on earrings are uncomfortable, but pierced ears are considered somewhat scandalous, vaguely bohemian, not quite proper for a respectable housewife. So you endure the pinching, the dull ache that will last all day, because beauty requires sacrifice in every small detail. You turn your head from side to side, checking the earrings in the mirror, making sure they are secure, making sure they sit at the same angle. They catch the light beautifully, adding a subtle sparkle near your face, drawing attention to your carefully made-up eyes, your perfectly waved hair. Now for the gloves. They sit in the top drawer of your dresser, folded neatly, a collection of white, cream and pale pink cotton gloves for daytime wear. You choose white, classic and clean, appropriate for morning errands. You pick up the first glove and slide your hand into it, working your fingers into each opening, smoothing the fabric up over your wrist. The glove fits snugly, following the contours of your hand, transforming it from ordinary to elegant. You wiggle your fingers, testing the fit, making sure you can still grip things, still function, still complete tasks while wearing this decorative layer. The second glove goes on the same way, and now both hands are covered, pristine and white. The hands of a woman who does not do dirty work, who does not scrub floors or dig in gardens or handle anything unpleasant. Of course, you will do all of those things today, but the gloves help maintain the illusion that you do not, that you float through life untouched by mess or difficulty. You flex your hands, admiring the effect. The gloves complete the look, adding a final layer of polish, a finishing touch that elevates the entire outfit from nice to complete. You're no longer just a woman in a dress, you're a lady, properly attired, ready to be seen in public. You take one last look in the mirror, checking everything. Pearls, perfect. Earrings, secure. Gloves, pristine. Hair, immovable. Makeup, flawless. Dress, pressed and perfectly fitted. You look like you stepped out of a magazine. Advertisement, like you're about to model dish soap or vacuum cleaners or the joys of domestic life. This is who you are now. This is who you have spent the last hour and a half becoming, and for the rest of the day, you will maintain this image, this carefully constructed version of yourself, because letting it slip would be unthinkable. You are ready. Finally, completely, exhaustingly ready. You step back and take a final look at yourself in the full-length mirror. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, dress immaculate. You look exactly like the woman every advertisement, every magazine, every television show says you should be. The mirror reflects back a version of yourself that is polished, put together, camera ready. Every element has been carefully arranged, every detail attended to, every flaw concealed or corrected. This is not the woman who woke up in darkness 90 minutes ago, groggy and bare-faced and human. This is the finished product, the public self, the acceptable version. You turn slightly, checking your profile. The girdle has done its work, creating a waist so small it looks almost architectural, a dramatic curve that the dress emphasizes with its fitted bodice and full skirt. Your posture is straight, shoulders back, chin up, the way ladies are supposed to stand. Slouching is for teenagers and women who have given up. You smooth the skirt one more time, running your gloved hands over the fabric, checking for wrinkles, for any imperfection that might suggest you are less than perfectly assembled. The dress falls in soft pleats, the hem hitting exactly at the right spot on your calf, modest but flattering, showing just enough leg to be feminine without being suggestive. Your hair catches the light as you move, the waves gleaming with the shellac of hairspray, not a strand out of place, not a hint of movement. You could probably withstand a moderate windstorm and emerge with your hairstyle intact. This is both reassuring and slightly terrifying, the idea that your hair is now more sculpture than organic material. The makeup looks softer in this light, less theatrical than it appeared under the harsh bathroom bulbs. The foundation has settled into your skin, the powder has lost its chalky appearance, and the overall effect is smooth, glowing, natural in the way that requires 10 products and 40 minutes to achieve. Your eyebrows are identical, or close enough. Your lips are a perfect red bow. Your cheeks have a healthy flush that suggests vitality rather than the truth, which is that you applied blush with mathematical precision. You check the back of your dress in the mirror, twisting to see yourself from behind, making sure the zipper is fully closed, making sure the seams are straight, making sure there are no gaps or bunching. The stockings are visible below the hem, the seams running straight up the backs of your legs like tiny roads leading somewhere more glamorous than your actual kitchen. Everything is perfect, or perfect enough. There comes a point in the routine where you have to accept that this is as good as it gets, that further adjustments will only make things worse, that you have reached the peak of what is achievable with your face, your body, your limited supplies of patience and time. You take a breath, shallow because of the girdle, and give yourself one final appraising look. This is who you will be today. This carefully constructed woman in pink, her face painted, her hair sprayed into submission, her body compressed into the ideal shape. You do not recognize her entirely. She looks like you, but better, smoother, more controlled. She looks like she never has a moment of doubt, never feels tired, never wonders if all of this effort is worth it. She looks perfect, and perfect is exhausting. But the mirror does not care about exhaustion. The mirror only reflects what it sees, and what it sees is a woman who has successfully completed her morning beauty routine, who has transformed herself from ordinary to acceptable, from human to ideal. You turn away from the mirror before you can second-guess anything, before you can notice the small imperfections that will start to bother you if you look too long, before the weight of maintaining this image for the next 12 hours settles too heavily on your shoulders. You are ready. The mirror has confirmed it, and now there is nothing left to do but step into the day and hope that all of this work, all of this time, all of this effort is noticed and appreciated by someone, anyone, even if that someone is just you. Before you leave the bedroom, you practice your smile in the mirror. Not too wide, not too stiff, just enough warmth to seem approachable, just enough polish to seem put together. The smile is as much a part of your appearance as the lipstick, the pearls, the carefully waved hair. A woman without a smile is a woman who has failed at femininity, or so every magazine and etiquette guide suggests. You're expected to be pleasant, cheerful, warm, even at 6:45 in the morning when you've been awake for over an hour and have not yet had coffee. You face the mirror and lift the corners of your mouth slowly, deliberately, watching the smile form. The first attempt is too tight, too forced, the smile of someone being held at gunpoint and told to look happy. You relax your face and try again. This time, softer. You think of something pleasant, something that might genuinely make you smile. The thought is harder to conjure than it should be, but you manage. You think of your children sleeping peacefully, their small faces soft and untroubled. You think of the first sip of morning coffee, still 20 minutes away but inevitable. You think of the satisfaction of a clean kitchen, a made bed, a day executed perfectly. The smile comes more naturally now, warming your face, reaching your eyes, creating small crinkles at the corners that you immediately worry might become permanent. But the smile looks real, or real enough. It looks like the smile of a woman who is content, who is happy to be awake, who is delighted to face another day of domestic responsibilities. You adjust it slightly, making sure your teeth show but not too much, making sure the smile is not so wide that it looks manic, not so small that it looks grudging. The ideal smile is medium, warm but controlled, friendly but not overly familiar. You're aiming for the smile of a woman in a dish soap advertisement, perpetually pleased about the cleanliness of her glassware. You practice holding the smile, counting to 10 in your head, making sure it does not falter, does not slip into a grimace or fade into blankness. Your cheek muscles begin to ache slightly by 8, but you push through to 10. This is the smile you will wear at breakfast, when your husband comes downstairs and you greet him with coffee and eggs and the cheerful demeanour he expects. This is the smile you will wear at the market, when the checkout girl comments on the weather and you agree pleasantly that yes, it is a lovely day. You let the smile drop and your face relaxes into its natural state, which is tired, neutral, slightly concerned about the amount of work ahead. You practice the smile one more time, lifting it into place, checking that it still looks right, that the lipstick has not smudged, that your teeth are clean, that nothing is stuck between them. Perfect. The smile is ready, stored in your muscle memory, available to be deployed at a moment's notice, as automatic as breathing but far less honest. You turn away from the mirror, letting your face fall back into its resting state, and prepare to leave the bedroom. The smile will return when needed. It always does. But for now, in this brief moment of privacy, you allow yourself to look how you actually feel, which is tired, compressed, and vaguely aware that you've been awake for nearly 2 hours and have not yet had a single sip of coffee. The smile can wait until someone is watching. The final step is shoes. You slip your feet into heels, practical ones for daytime, the kind that add height and elegance without making you wobble dangerously while carrying a pot roast. The shoes wait by the bedroom door, polished and ready, a pair of sensible pumps in a neutral beige that matches everything, offends no one, and quietly suggests that you are a woman of taste and practicality. They're not tall heels, not the dramatic evening shoes with the slim stiletto points that make walking a cardiovascular exercise. These are day heels, modest 2-inch heels designed for women who need to stand at the stove, bend to retrieve items from low cupboards, and navigate stairs while carrying laundry baskets. You sit on the edge of the bed one final time and reach for the first shoe. Your stockinged foot slides into it easily, the leather cool and smooth against the nylon. You wiggle your toes, settling your foot into place, and then repeat with the second shoe. Both. Feet now elevated, your posture automatically adjusts, your spine straightening, your hips tilting slightly forward to compensate for the shift in balance. You stand carefully, testing your stability. The heels are familiar, worn enough to be comfortable, broken in through months of daily use. They pinch slightly at the toe, the way all shoes in this era seem to, because women's feet are apparently not supposed to be as wide as they actually are. But the pinching is manageable, ignorable, just another small discomfort added to the growing collection you have accumulated this morning. You take a few experimental steps across the bedroom floor. The heels click softly against the hardwood, a sound that announces your presence, your femininity, your arrival. Flat shoes are for children and women who have given up on elegance. Heels are for ladies, and you are determined to be a lady, even if your feet disagree with this assessment. The heels change everything. They change the way you walk, forcing you to take smaller steps, to place your feet more carefully, to sway your hips slightly to maintain balance. They change the way you stand, making you taller, making your legs look longer and more shapely, making your calves flex in a way that is considered attractive. They change the way you move through the world, more deliberately, more carefully, more aware of every surface you step on. You walk to the dresser and back, getting reacquainted with the sensation of being slightly off balance, of having your weight pitched forward onto the balls of your feet, of feeling your ankles adjust with each step to keep you upright. By the end of the day, your feet will ache, your calves will be tight, and you will count the minutes until you can kick these shoes off and feel the floor flat beneath you again. But that is hours away. For now, you're wearing heels, because that is what women do. That is what is expected. Heels make you taller, prettier, more feminine, more correct. They make your legs look better in stockings. They make the full skirt of your dress swing more attractively when you walk. They complete the silhouette, the image, the carefully constructed package of femininity that you have spent nearly 2 hours assembling. You check your reflection in the mirror one last time, this time standing at full height, heels on, the complete picture. You look polished, elegant, ready. You look like a woman who has never experienced a moment of doubt or discomfort in her entire life. The heels click as you turn toward the door. The sound is confident, purposeful, the sound of a woman who knows exactly who she is and where she's going, even if that destination is just downstairs to make breakfast. You descend the stairs carefully, one hand on the railing, your posture straight, your steps measured. You're fully transformed now, no longer the tired woman who woke in darkness, but the polished housewife ready to greet the day. The stairs are carpeted, soft beneath your heels, muffling the clicking sound that announced your movement across the bedroom floor. You place each foot carefully on the next step, conscious of the fact that descending stairs in heels while wearing a girdle that prevents you from bending at the waist is a delicate operation that requires focus and balance. Your hand glides along the wooden banister, smooth and cool beneath your gloved fingers. You keep your shoulders back, your chin level, your gaze directed straight ahead rather than down at your feet. Looking down would ruin the posture, the elegant line from head to toe that you've worked so hard to create. The house is still quiet. Your husband has not stirred yet. The children are still asleep in their rooms, their small bodies curled beneath blankets, unaware that their mother has been awake for hours, transforming herself from human into ideal. This is your time. These few minutes of peace before the household wakes and begins making its demands. Each step downward is controlled, graceful, the movement of a woman who has done this thousands of times, who knows exactly how to navigate her own staircase in heels and a full skirt without tripping, without rushing, without losing the composure that is so essential to maintaining the image. The girdle restricts your movement, making each step slightly more deliberate. You cannot bend easily, cannot catch yourself quickly if you stumble, so you do not stumble. You place each foot with precision, feeling. The heels settle onto the carpet before transferring your weight, before lifting the other foot and continuing downward. The dress swishes softly around your legs with each step, the full skirt moving in a way that is both modest and feminine, covering your knees while still suggesting the shape of your legs beneath. The fabric brushes against your stockings, creating a soft whisper of sound that accompanies your descent. You reach the landing and pause for a moment, adjusting your gloves, smoothing your skirt, preparing to enter the main floor of the house where the day's work awaits. The living room is visible through the doorway, neat and clean from last night's tidying, the furniture arranged just so, the cushions plumped, the surfaces dust-free. Everything is in its place, everything is ready, and now so are you. You take a breath, shallow and controlled, and continue toward the kitchen, your heels clicking softly against the hardwood floor of the hallway, announcing your arrival to the empty house. You're awake, you're assembled, you're the woman you're supposed to be, and the performance has only just begun. You enter the kitchen, flip on the light, and begin preparing breakfast, moving through the space with practiced grace. Your husband will wake soon. Your children will stumble downstairs, and none of them will know that you've been awake for over an hour, painting on the version of yourself they expect to see. The kitchen is dark when you enter, the only light coming from the grey dawn seeping through the window above the sink. You reach for the switch, and the overhead fixture flickers to life, flooding the room with warm yellow light that reflects off the polished countertops, the gleaming chrome fixtures, the spotless linoleum floor you scrubbed yesterday afternoon. You move to the percolator first, because coffee is essential, is survival, is the reward you've been anticipating since you first opened your eyes in the darkness. You fill the pot with water, measure out the grounds with the precision of a chemist, and set it on the stove to begin its slow, bubbling transformation into liquid consciousness. The percolator begins to burble softly, a comforting sound that fills the quiet kitchen. You stand for a moment, listening to it, watching the glass knob on top as the coffee begins to darken, waiting for the moment when you can pour yourself that first precious cup. But there is no time to stand idle. Breakfast will not make itself. You move to the refrigerator, pulling out eggs, butter, milk, bacon, the ingredients for a proper breakfast, the kind that will fuel your husband through his morning at work, the kind that will send your children off to school with full stomachs and the energy to learn. You set the ingredients on the counter and reach for your apron, a cheerful checkered thing that hangs on a hook by the pantry. You tie it around your waist, covering the pink dress, protecting it from grease splatters and egg drippings and the various hazards of cooking. The apron transforms you once again, from polished housewife to working housewife, from decorative to functional. The bacon goes into the skillet first, the strips sizzling immediately as they hit the hot pan, filling the kitchen with the rich, savoury smell that will eventually drift upstairs and wake your husband, signal to him that his wife is awake, that breakfast is being prepared, that the day is beginning as it should. You stand at the stove, tending the bacon with a fork, turning each strip carefully to ensure even cooking. Your hair is still perfect, your makeup still flawless, your pearls still gleaming at your throat. You're cooking breakfast in heels and gloves and a full face of makeup at 7 a.m, and this is completely normal, completely expected, completely unremarkable. The eggs are next. You crack them into a bowl, whisking them smooth, adding a splash of milk, a pinch of salt. Your movements are efficient, practiced, the result of hundreds of mornings spent in this same kitchen, performing these same tasks, preparing these same meals. The percolator has finished its work. You pour yourself a cup of coffee, adding cream and sugar, and take that first sip, the one you have been dreaming about for the past 2 hours. It is hot, strong, perfect. It burns your tongue slightly, and you do not care. This is the first moment of the day that belongs entirely to you, the first taste of something you wanted rather than something you had to do. You hear stirring upstairs, footsteps crossing the bedroom floor, the sound of the bathroom door closing. Your husband is awake. In 10 minutes, he will come downstairs, expecting to find breakfast ready, expecting to find you smiling and cheerful and perfectly assembled, expecting to start his day without having to think about any of the work that has already gone into making it possible. You set your coffee cup down and return to the stove, scrambling the eggs, plating the bacon, preparing the toast. You arrange everything on the table, setting out plates and silverware, napkins and butter, orange juice in a glass pitcher. Everything is ready. Everything is perfect. And when he walks into this kitchen, he will see a wife who has effortlessly created a beautiful breakfast, who looks fresh and lovely at 7 a.m, who is smiling because she is happy, because this is what she was made for, because there is nowhere else she would rather be. He will never know that you woke in darkness, that you spent 90 minutes painting and compressing and curling and spraying yourself into this acceptable shape, that your feet already hurt, that your scalp aches from the pin curls, that the girdle is making it difficult to breathe, that the smile you're about to give him has been practiced in the mirror and stored in your muscle memory like a script. He will never know any of it. And that, you understand as you hear his footsteps on the stairs, is exactly the point. Your husband enters the kitchen, freshly showered, his hair still damp, his tie not yet knotted. He sees the breakfast laid out, the coffee poured, his wife standing by the stove in her pink dress and pearls, and he smiles, completely unaware that this scene required 2 hours of preparation that began in darkness. "Good morning," he says, his voice still rough with sleep, and you turn to him with the smile you practiced upstairs, the one that suggests you're delighted to see him, delighted to be awake, delighted to have spent your entire morning making sure this moment looks effortless. "Good morning," you reply, your voice light and warm, and you hand him his coffee already prepared the way he likes it. 2 sugars, a splash of cream, stirred exactly 12 times because he once mentioned that fewer stirs leaves it grainy and more stirs makes it too cool. He takes the cup without comment, without thanks, because this is what wives do. This is what mornings look like. This is the natural order of things. He has no idea that you've been awake since 5:30. He has no idea that your face is a carefully constructed mask of powders and creams. He has no idea that you're standing in heels that are already pinching your toes, in a girdle that is compressing your internal organs, in stockings held up by clips that dig into your thighs. He sits at the table, and you bring him his plate, eggs scrambled to the exact consistency he prefers, bacon crisp but not burned, toast golden and buttered. You set it in front of him and he nods, picking up his fork, already reading the newspaper that was delivered while you were upstairs drawing on your eyebrows. You pour yourself another cup of coffee and stand at the counter sipping it slowly, watching him eat. You have not eaten yet. You will not eat yet. You will wait until he is finished, until the children come down, until everyone else has been fed and satisfied and sent off to their day. Only then will you sit alone in the quiet kitchen and eat whatever is left, standing over the sink so you do not have to dirty another plate. This is the routine. This is the unspoken arrangement. He works outside the home, earning money, navigating the world of offices and meetings and responsibilities that are considered important. You work inside the home, managing the endless tasks of cooking and cleaning and child rearing, responsibilities that are considered natural, expected, not quite work at all, but rather an extension of your feminine nature. He finishes his eggs and sets down his fork, finally looking up from the newspaper. "You look nice," he says, and the compliment lands with the weight of an afterthought. Something he remembered he's supposed to say, a husbandly duty fulfilled. "Thank you," you reply, because this is the expected response. And you do not add that looking nice required 90 minutes of effort. That looking nice is a full-time job you perform before your actual full-time job of managing the household even begins. He stands, carries his plate to the sink and sets it down for you to wash later. He kisses your cheek, careful not to smudge your makeup, not because he knows how long it took to apply, but because he knows instinctively that your face is not to be disturbed, that the painted mask must remain intact. "Have a good day," you tell him, and he nods, already distracted, already thinking about his day, his work, his world outside these walls. He leaves the kitchen and you hear him upstairs, finishing his tie, gathering his briefcase, preparing to walk out the door into a world that sees him as he is, rumpled and human and acceptable, while you remain here, polished and compressed and performing. You take another sip of coffee, the second cup going down easier than the first, warming you from the inside, filling the hollow space where exhaustion lives. The kitchen is quiet again. The breakfast dishes sit in the sink, waiting. The children will wake soon, will come downstairs hungry and demanding, will need their own meals prepared, their own needs met, their own version of mother who is patient and cheerful and endlessly available. But for this moment, this brief, stolen moment, you stand alone in your kitchen, drinking coffee, still wearing your pearls and your gloves, still holding your smile in reserve, still being the woman everyone needs you to be, and you wonder, just for a second, who you might be if you weren't being her. Then you set down your coffee cup and the thought disappears, because there is no time for wondering, no space for questions that have no acceptable answers. The day is beginning, and you have work to do. The sound of small feet on the stairs announces the arrival of your children, still in their pajamas, hair dishevelled, faces soft with sleep. They see you standing in the kitchen, perfect and composed, and assume this is how you always look, how you always are, never imagining the transformation that occurred in darkness. Your daughter appears first, 6 years old, trailing her stuffed rabbit by one ear, her nightgown twisted around her small body. She rubs her eyes and yawns, and you feel a surge of tenderness so fierce it almost cracks the careful composure you've maintained all morning. "Good morning, sweetheart," you say, and your voice is softer now, warmer, the practiced smile becoming something more genuine as you look at her sleepy face. "Morning, Mama," she mumbles, climbing into her chair at the table, the rabbit deposited in the chair beside her. Your son follows moments later, 8 years old and already imitating his father's morning gruffness, shuffling into the kitchen with his hair sticking up in 3 directions. He grunts something that might be a greeting and collapses into his seat, propping his head on his hand as if the weight of consciousness is too much to bear. You begin preparing their breakfast, pouring milk into glasses, setting out cereal bowls, slicing bananas with the same careful precision you applied to your eyeliner an hour ago. Every movement is practiced, efficient. The choreography of maternal care performed so many times it has become automatic. Your daughter watches you move around the kitchen, her eyes tracking your every gesture. "You look pretty, Mama," she says suddenly, and the compliment hits differently than her father's did, lands somewhere deeper, somewhere that makes your throat tighten unexpectedly. "Thank you, baby," you reply, setting her cereal in front of her, resisting the urge to smooth her tangled hair, to pull her into your lap, to let her see you as something other than this polished, untouchable version. She begins eating, milk dribbling down her chin, and you hand her a napkin without comment. Your son is already halfway through his bowl, eating with the single-minded focus of a child who has places to be, even though school does not start for another hour. You stand at the counter and watch them eat, these small people you grew inside your body, these children who see you every day but do not really see you, cannot see past the surface to the person beneath, the woman who existed before they did, the self you sometimes barely remember. They see a mother. They see someone who appears in the kitchen each morning, fully assembled, ready to feed them and dress them and send them off into the world. They do not see the woman who woke in darkness, who stood in front of a mirror for 90 minutes painting herself into acceptability, who is standing in heels and a girdle at 7:30 in the morning because that is what mothers do. And maybe that is how it should be. Maybe children are supposed to believe their mothers are magic, that they simply exist in this state of perpetual readiness, that they never struggle or doubt or wish desperately for 5 more minutes of sleep. Your daughter finishes her cereal and looks up at you with those wide, trusting eyes. "Can you braid my hair today, Mama?" she asks, and you nod, because of course you will, because that is what you do, because your own hair may be shellacked into immovability, but hers is still soft and free, and you will weave it into something beautiful before she leaves for school. "Go get dressed first," you tell her, and she scrambles down from her chair, the rabbit retrieved and carried carefully upstairs. Your son finishes his breakfast in silence and follows his sister, leaving you alone in the kitchen with the dishes, the half-empty milk glasses, the scatter of crumbs across the table. You begin clearing the table, stacking plates, wiping down surfaces, restoring order to the small chaos of breakfast. Your gloves are spotted now with water and milk, the pristine white sullied by the realities of motherhood. But you continue working, because stopping would mean acknowledging the exhaustion that lurks beneath the surface, the weight of maintaining this performance for an audience that does not know they are watching a show. The children will come back downstairs soon, dressed and ready, needing their lunches packed, their hair combed, their shoes tied. They will need you to be patient and present and available, to be the mother they believe you are, effortless and endlessly capable. And you will be that mother because you have no choice, because that is the role you inhabit, because your own needs dissolve the moment they were born, replaced by the constant, unrelenting work of meeting theirs. You rinse the dishes and stack them in the sink, already thinking ahead to the next task, the next requirement, the next small piece of yourself you will give away without hesitation, because that is what mothers do. And no one ever asks what it costs. You stand at the counter preparing school lunches with the efficiency of a factory worker, spreading peanut butter on bread, wrapping sandwiches in wax paper, adding apples and cookies to metal lunchboxes that will return home empty, the only evidence that your children ate something you provided. The bread sits in front of you, soft white slices arranged in pairs, waiting to be transformed into sandwiches that your children will eat, trade, or quietly discard depending on their moods and the social politics of the cafeteria. You open the jar of peanut butter and begin spreading it with a knife, smooth, even strokes that cover every inch of bread without tearing the delicate surface. This is a skill you've perfected over years of practice, the art of the perfect peanut butter spread. Not too thick, which makes the sandwich difficult to eat and likely to stick to the roof of a child's mouth. Not too thin, which makes it sad and inadequate. The kind of sandwich that suggests maternal failure. You finish the first sandwich and move to the second, repeating the same motions, the same careful application of peanut butter, followed by a thin layer of grape jelly. Your son prefers his sandwiches cut diagonally. Your daughter prefers hers cut into 4 squares. You remember these preferences without thinking, the same way you remember that your son will not eat bananas that have any brown spots, and your daughter will only drink milk that is very cold. The sandwiches are wrapped in wax paper, folded with hospital corners, tucked into their respective lunchboxes. You add an apple to each, polished to a shine on your apron. You add 2 cookies, homemade yesterday while the children were at school, oatmeal raisin for your son, chocolate chip for your daughter. You include a napkin in each box, folded neatly, because teaching manners extends even to the school cafeteria where you cannot supervise their behaviour. You hope they use the napkins. You suspect they do not. The lunch boxes close with satisfying metallic clicks, sealing in the food, the care, the invisible labour that no one will acknowledge because it is expected, assumed, as natural as breathing. Your daughter comes back downstairs, dressed in her school dress, her hair still loose and tangled. She sits on a kitchen chair, and you stand behind her, hairbrush in hand, beginning the process of working through the knots that formed overnight. She winces as you pull the brush through a particularly stubborn tangle, and you murmur an apology, working more gently, separating the hair into sections, preparing to braid it the way she requested. Your fingers move automatically, weaving the strands over and under, creating the pattern that will keep her hair neat and controlled throughout the school day. You secure the end with a ribbon that matches her dress, a small detail that no one but you will notice, that will make no difference to anyone but feels important anyway, feels like proof that you are doing this correctly, that you are being a good mother. There you say, turning her around to inspect your work. The braid is perfect, tight and even. The ribbon tied in a bow that will probably be undone by recess but looks lovely now. She runs to the mirror in the hallway to admire it, and you hear her small sound of pleasure, the satisfaction of seeing herself transformed from tangled to tidy. Your son appears, already wearing his jacket, his lunchbox in hand, ready to leave even though the school bus will not arrive for another 20 minutes. He is always early, always anxious about being late, a trait he inherited from you, though you have never told him that. You hand your daughter a lunchbox and she takes it carefully, seriously, understanding that this small metal container holds something precious, something made specifically for her. They stand in the kitchen, both dressed, both fed, both carrying the lunches you prepared, both ready to walk out the door into a day that will be filled with things you cannot control, with teachers and friends and experiences that will shape them in ways you cannot predict. You smooth your son's cowlick one more time, knowing it will spring back up the moment he steps outside. You adjust your daughter's collar, straightening it unnecessarily because you need to touch her, to have one more moment of connection before she leaves. The school bus horn sounds in the distance, 2 short blasts that signal its approach. Time to go, you tell them, and they grab their books and their lunch boxes and head toward the door. Your daughter turns back for a moment. "Bye, Mama," she says, and you smile, the practiced smile that hides the sudden ache in your chest, the awareness that they are growing, changing, moving further away from you with each passing day. "Bye, sweetheart. Have a good day at school." And then they're gone, the door closing behind them, their voices fading as they run toward the bus stop, and you're alone again in the kitchen, surrounded by the evidence of breakfast, the scattered crumbs of family life. You lean against the counter and close your eyes for just a moment, letting yourself feel the exhaustion that has been building since 5:30 this morning. The weight of being everything to everyone, of maintaining this performance without rest, without acknowledgement, without end. Then you open your eyes, straighten your pearls, and begin washing the dishes, because the work never stops, and neither can you. The dishes pile in the sink, evidence of the breakfast you served and did not eat. You roll up your sleeves carefully, protecting the cuffs of your dress, and begin the work of erasing the morning's meal, washing each plate until the kitchen looks as though no one was ever here at all. The water runs hot from the tap, steam rising as you plug the sink and add a squirt of dish soap. The suds form immediately, thick and white, smelling of artificial lemon and the promise of cleanliness. You plunge your gloved hands into the water, the heat seeping through the cotton, and begin washing the plates one by one. The routine is meditative in its way, the same motions repeated endlessly, day after day, year after year. Wash, rinse, stack in the drying rack. Wash, rinse, stack. The dishes multiply in ways that seem impossible given the number of people in your household, but they always do, always need washing, always demand attention. Your husband's coffee cup still bears the faint lipstick mark from where you kissed him goodbye, a small red crescent on the white porcelain. You scrub it away, erasing the evidence of affection along with the coffee stains. The children's cereal bowls still have milk residue clinging to the sides, the remnants of breakfast hardening already into a stubborn film that requires extra scrubbing. You work the dishcloth around the inside of each bowl, your movements efficient, practiced. The frying pan from the bacon sits on the stove, grease congealed in the bottom, and you carry it to the sink, running hot water over it, watching the fat liquefy and swirl down the drain. You scrub the pan with steel wool, removing every trace of this morning's cooking, restoring it to its clean state, so it will be ready for tomorrow's breakfast, for the next meal, for the endless cycle of feeding and cleaning that structures your days. Your gloves are soaked through now, wet and clinging to your hands, no longer white but grey with dishwater and food residue. You should take them off, should hang them to dry and wash the dishes with bare hands like a practical person would. But you do not, because removing the gloves would mean admitting that the polished image you created this morning is already breaking down, that the real work of running a household is incompatible with the decorative femininity you're supposed to maintain. So you keep washing, your gloved hands moving through the hot water, your dress protected by the apron, your hair still immovable despite the steam that fills the kitchen, your makeup still intact even as sweat begins to form along your hairline from the heat of the water and the effort of scrubbing. The dishes in the drying rack multiply, plates and glasses and silverware stacked in careful arrangements that allow for maximum airflow, maximum drying efficiency. This too is a skill you have perfected. The art of arranging dishes so they dry without water spots, so they can be put away quickly when the time comes. So every aspect of kitchen management flows smoothly from one task to the next. You wash the countertops next, wiping away crumbs, sticky spots, the evidence of breakfast preparation. You wring out the dishcloth and hang it over the faucet to dry. You wipe down the stove, removing the grease splatters from the bacon, making the surface shine. The kitchen is transforming back into its pristine state, the chaos of breakfast being methodically erased until the room looks like a photograph in a magazine, perfect and untouched, showing no signs that a family lives here, that meals are prepared and consumed, that life happens within these walls. You pull the plug and watch the dirty dishwater swirl down the drain, carrying with it the last evidence of breakfast. The sink gleams, empty and clean, and you dry it with a towel, polishing the chrome until it reflects your face in its curved surface. You catch a glimpse of yourself in that reflection, distorted but recognizable. Your lipstick is still perfect. Your hair has not moved. Your pearls still gleam at your throat. But there is something in your eyes, a tiredness that no amount of makeup can conceal, a heaviness that lives beneath the surface of your carefully maintained appearance. You look away from the reflection and remove your apron, folding it carefully, hanging it back on its hook. Your dress underneath is still pristine, still pressed, still pink and cheerful and appropriate. The kitchen is clean. The morning's work is done, or this portion of it anyway. There will be lunch to prepare soon, and then dinner, and then tomorrow's breakfast, the cycle continuing without pause, without variation, without end. But for now, in this moment, the kitchen is perfect, and you, standing in the centre of it, look perfect too. Even if perfection is exhausting, even if no one is here to see it, the house is clean, the family is fed and scattered to their respective days. You stand alone in your spotless kitchen, still wearing your heels and your pearls and your carefully painted face, and you pour yourself one final cup of coffee, the first thing today that is entirely, completely just for you. The percolator is nearly empty, the coffee at the bottom dark and slightly bitter from sitting too long on the heat, but you pour it anyway, adding cream and sugar, stirring slowly, watching the liquid lighten from black to brown. You carry the cup to the kitchen table and sit down carefully, conscious of the girdle, of the way sitting requires negotiating with the various layers of compression and restriction that shape your body into its acceptable form. The chair is hard beneath you, your feet ache in the heels, but sitting, even uncomfortable sitting, is a relief after standing for the past 2 hours. The house is so quiet now. The silence feels different than it did at 5:30 this morning, when it was the silence of sleep, of potential, of the day waiting to begin. This is the silence of absence, of everyone gone, of the house emptying and leaving you alone with the work that never ends. You take a sip of coffee and let yourself slouch, just slightly, just enough to ease the pressure on your compressed ribcage, just enough to breathe a little deeper. No one is here to see. No one is here to judge your posture, your appearance, your constant maintenance of the image. You look around the kitchen, at the clean counters, the washed dishes drying in the rack, the floor swept and spotless. This room will be messy again in a few hours. You will prepare lunch, and then dinner, and the dishes will pile up again, and the counters will need wiping, and the floor will need sweeping, and tomorrow you will wake in darkness and do it all again. And before you can do any of that, you will need to grocery shop and dust the living room, and scrub the bathroom and change the sheets, and iron your husband's shirts, and mend the tear in your son's trousers, and plan next week's meals, and write thank you notes for last month's dinner party, and call your mother and smile while doing all of it, and maintain the appearance that none of this is work at all, but rather a natural expression of your feminine nature. You take another sip of coffee, letting the warmth spread through you, letting yourself have this one stolen moment of stillness before the day's demands resume. The clock on the wall ticks steadily, marking time, reminding you that this pause is temporary, that there is always something else that needs doing, someone else who needs you, some other way you must present yourself. But for now, just for now, you sit in your quiet kitchen in your pink dress and your pearls and your aching feet, drinking lukewarm coffee that no one prepared for you, that you had to make yourself, and you let yourself feel the weight of the morning you have already lived. 2 hours of transformation, 2 hours of painting and compressing and curling and performing, 2 hours of creating the illusion that you simply woke up this way, that beauty and polish and maternal competence are your natural state rather than the result of exhausting, invisible labour. And the day has barely started. You finish your coffee and stand, smoothing your dress, checking your lipstick in the reflection of the toaster, making sure the mask is still in place, still perfect, still hiding everything it needs to hide. Because in a few hours, your children will come home from school, hungry and loud and needing you. Your husband will return from work, expecting dinner and a pleasant wife and a well-managed home. And you will be ready, still wearing your smile, still looking fresh and composed, as if you have done nothing all day but wait happily for their return. They will never know about the coffee you drank alone in the quiet kitchen. They will never know about the moment you let yourself slouch, let yourself rest, let yourself exist without performing. They will only see the finished product, the polished housewife, the woman who makes it all look effortless. And that, you understand as you rinse your coffee cup and place it in the drying rack, is exactly the point of the morning beauty routine every 1950s American woman actually followed. Not to be beautiful for beauty's sake, but to be beautiful enough that no one questions the effort, to be put together enough that no one notices the work, to be perfect enough that no one realizes perfection is impossible, is exhausting, is a performance that requires waking in darkness and 2 hours of transformation before you are allowed to simply exist. You check your reflection one last time in the kitchen window, the morning light making your makeup look softer, more natural. You look exactly like you're supposed to look. And now, finally, the real work of the day can begin. So tonight, as you settle deeper into your blankets, take a moment to think about the women who woke in darkness, who stood in front of mirrors painting on faces the world would find acceptable, who compressed themselves into shapes that were never quite comfortable, who smiled through exhaustion and called it joy. They were not trying to be perfect. They were trying to survive an era that demanded perfection anyway. And somehow, through pin curls and girdles and 2 hours of morning rituals that no one ever acknowledged, they did. There was dignity in that routine, even when it was exhausting. There was care in the way they braided their daughter's hair, packed lunches with careful hands, poured coffee for husbands who never thought to ask how long they had been awake. They were holding families together with hairspray and lipstick, and a kind of quiet, relentless love that rarely got named but was always there. You do not have to wake at 5:30 or wear a girdle or paint your face before anyone sees you. But maybe, if you want, you can carry forward something small from their world. The care they took, the attention to detail, the way they turned ordinary mornings into something intentional, even when no one was watching. Maybe tomorrow you slow down just a little. Maybe you notice the light coming through your window, or the steam rising from your coffee, or the way it feels to be awake before the world makes its demands. Maybe you let yourself have one quiet moment that belongs only to you. Because history is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just a kitchen and a mirror and someone doing their best with what they have. And that is enough. That has always been enough. So rest now. Let the 1950s fade gently back into memory. Let your own morning come softly, without pressure, without performance. You have earned your sleep. Good night.